Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but we also talk about how we're going to fix it together. Now, the content for this episode is something that I think that you guys are going to like, so please send this out. Republicans are actually growing some sort of a little tiny backbone, and they're sending a letter to the director of the CDC saying, hey, could you maybe put back defensive stats that were there before you removed it at the behest of a gun control group because the facts actually got in the way of their gun control desires? I know, it's amazing. Everything's going to be linked in the description box below. And if you are new, please give this video a like. We would love to have you subscribe, join the fold. We need as many people as we can in the fold together. Count yourselves among friends because we have got a mission here and we're going to pass the blessing on to the next generation. Thank you so much in advance for your consideration. And this content is brought to you by Core Essentials. We'll say a quick word from them and then we're going to walk through this letter and I cannot wait to hear what you guys think. Now, Core Essentials has these gun belts, and the belts I've actually been wearing for about a year, and I can honestly say after a year of use, they're phenomenal products. I'll tell you a few things about them really quickly, and then we'll get it. Now, Core makes some of the best fitting, most comfortable, secure gun belts you will ever wear. A hidden track with over 40 size positions that you can adjust on the move, the result is the perfect fit. The stiff Power Core center provides total support for your firearm and keeps it completely secure. It's made with the best quality materials and it is warranted for 1 year. This is something you might want to check out for that last minute gift, and thank you so much to Core Essentials for sponsoring this content. But my brothers and sisters, we have got to get into this because as we've documented multiple times, the bureaucratic power of the executive branch that's underneath the Biden administration is almost limitless. They overstep their bounds consistently, and in this case, there was furor about 2 weeks ago how the CDC was pressured to remove defensive gun stats, a study cited by the CDC, paid for by the CDC, to remove it from their website because the Gun Violence Archive thought it really got in the way of their gun control manipulations. I'm not making that up, that actually happened. I've got both stories linked in the description box if you'd like. But let's dive into this. I'll walk you through what the Republicans are actually doing, and then I'm going to show you what GVA, or Gun Violence Archive, is saying. Republicans push CDC to reinstate defensive gun use data after gun control activists had it removed from site. That's a very succinct, exact representation of what happened. Gun Violence Archive. Keep in mind, the Gun Violence Archive was originally founded as a joke from Slate magazine, which is a far-left magazine. They have extremely manipulative tactics in counting your mass shootings. They don't include any type of data on what's going on with the crime, surrounding circumstances, context, nothing. Just if 3 people or more were injured by some sort of bullet in some sort of way, that's a mass shooting. That's why the media consistently cites, we've had more mass shootings than days in the year. That's what they're citing, Gun Violence Archive. It is a manipulated leftist source bent on gun control. Enough said. Let's get this. Republican lawmakers are pressing the Center for Disease Control and Prevention to reinstate data on defensive gun use to its website after removing it at the request of gun control advocates. Now, the one thing that I want to say here is this would not even happen if you guys had not shown an uproar about this. Everything that the Republicans will do, they have to be forced to do it, just like the Democrats are forced to do it. It's all about the power of the constituency. It's not about their will to do the right thing. It's about the power of the constituency pushing them to do it. This is what's happening. You've seen letters go out against credit card companies in the past few months. You've seen letters go out against the banks that are basically doing anti-gun policies. You're seeing state-level AGs and state-level finance CFOs saying, we're not going to give you any of our municipal bonds. This is working. Stay the course. Let me show you what's going on here. Representatives August Pfluger, Republican Texas, and Elise Stefanik, Republican New York, sent a letter to CDC Director Rochelle Walensky on Monday requesting more information about how the CDC decided to remove the data, according to a copy of the letter obtained by Fox News Digital. The CDC removed references to a study it commissioned following a series of 2021 meetings with gun control advocates. And if you don't believe that there's nothing nefarious here, wait till I actually show you the quote from the gun control advocate. Quote, public trust in the CDC is already at an all-time low. Facts. Now, we find that the supposed nonpartisan agency is removing information that gun control activists don't like. The CDC's own study showed that Americans have relied on their own guns for self-defense upwards of 2.5 million times a year. Keep in mind, in contrast to that 25 to 30,000 time incidents of gun violence that almost always end up in an urban scenario. Ignore that fact. 2.5 million defensive uses. Well, that really kind of defeated the whole point of gun violence as the epidemic, and they wanted it removed. So if you can't get your point through facts, just remove opposing facts. Does that sound familiar with anything that we've been dealing with for the past 2 years? 10 years? Anyway, let's keep going. Congress needs to act and put guardrails in place to protect from this behavior, Pfluger told Fox News Digital in a statement. Quote, the CDC must immediately end their blatant politicization of the facts and pursuit of a far-left anti-gun agenda, Stefanik said in another statement to Fox. The Biden administration is shamefully lying to the American people and hiding the facts of law-abiding citizens use their constitutionally protected Second Amendment rights to keep our families and communities safe. Exceptionally well worded. What's your argument? There is no argument against that. That's absolutely true. You've politicized the CDC, not just in this case, obviously over the past 2-3 years, into something that is actually a cudgel, a weapon against your opponents. They've used the executive bureaucracies in multiple cases, whether it be the ATF, the FBI, the CDC, all the executive bureaucracies, against their political opponents. That's wrong. That is clearly not okay. Let's keep going, because I'm about to get to the gun violence archive quotes. The CDC Commission study, authored by Florida State University Emeritus Professor Gary Kleck, found that instances of defensive gun use take place anywhere from 60,000 times to 2.5 million times per year in the U.S., just for a reference point. Here comes the Executive Director of Gun Violence Archive. Mark Bryant, quote, told CDC officials that the data needed to be killed, buried, dug up, killed again, and buried again in an email and subsequent meeting. So if your point is getting destroyed by actual facts and data, that would be used to defend the rights of constitutional rights of Americans across the board, we just need to get rid of that fact completely. We don't even need to have that as part of the conversation because, after all, common sense gun legislation is what we need. It's not based on data. It's based on your desires for control, coming from a far-left organization, Gun Violence Archive, tied to Slate magazine. Just saying. And I got one more thing for you, and then we're going to go about the rest of our day. Quote, opinions of the nation's institutions continue to be low due to overt politicization. The CDC censoring public health facts at the behest of gun control advocates will only add to that mistrust. The removal of a study commissioned by the CDC indicates that the CDC is avoiding the responsibility bestowed to them on Congress. The pair wrote in the letter, quote, this censorship panders to the activist groups who aim to cover up the fact that much of the firearm industry prevails because consumers seek the ability to protect themselves, their life, liberty, and property. Zing! Perfect. That's what I need to see more of. Call these people on the carpet, start sending letters, start looking at investigations, start sending into all the different funding options you have, Republicans in Congress. This is what we need to see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.